Hi, I'm Rita Wilkins, also known as the Downsizing Designer. So today I want to talk to you about something that might have occurred to you over the last year, especially with COVID. So it's called 5 Steps to Right Size Your Next Home. So during the lockdown, did you have an opportunity to notice things in your home that you never noticed before, or that maybe you just put on the back burner because it wasn't that important? So for instance, how much stuff you've actually accumulated over all these years, the boxes in the attic, in the basement, in the garage, and many of them you have no idea what's even inside of them. And also what spaces in your house really work for you and which ones don't. So if you're like many, you might have discovered, that there's rooms in your house that are basically wasted. You're not using them regularly. It's costing you money to heat them, to maintain them, and so forth. You might be wishing that you had more space in your home. So more and better spaces. So for instance, the his and her has really become an issue, during COVID, because so many people were working from home and will continue to work from home. Many people are saying, I wish I had a better kitchen layout, because maybe now there's more than one cook in the kitchen. And then, of course, homework areas, more private space, retreat areas. Other things that I've heard over the last year is, I don't think I can handle these stairs anymore. So depending on what is happening with you, if you have started to look at your home, you're looking around and saying, is this the right time for us to find a home that better suits your current lifestyle, your age, the stage of life? This home that you're thinking about is actually what we call right-sizing. And right-sizing is different from downsizing. Now, most of you know me as the downsizing designer, but obviously right-sizing is very much a part of what we do as designers, is to find that perfect fit, the house that's going to work for you. So right-sizing is different from downsizing because it's not necessarily smaller. It's the right size for you at this stage of your life. And that means it's a good fit for what you want and need. And it's also a good fit for things that you no longer want and no longer need. So it is a process. And this particular Facebook Live is about the process, or the 5 steps to determine the right size for your next home. So the first thing to do is to know what you want and why you want it. So know up front that selling your home that you've lived in for many, many years, it's emotional and it's also hard work. So don't think you can go into this without, having to be confronted by so many things. And also know that maybe your partner, your spouse, your partner may not agree that it's the right time to move. But there are certain reasons that you might consider right-sizing. First is life events or circumstances. I call these the have-tos. So for instance, finances, many people have lost their jobs during COVID, and it's forcing you to say, I can't afford this big house anymore. It's important that I right-size or downsize to another home. Another one is death of a loved one. And the house becomes too big to maintain. It's no longer tenable to have that as your lifestyle. Another one is divorce. So a house that was fit for 2 or for a couple of kids too may not be the right size house anymore for you. And then the last one is health. So sudden health changes that you can no longer go up the stairs, or that you might need caregivers. All of those are life events or circumstances that say we pretty much have to find a better house that's going to fit our lifestyle. The second one is life stage. I call this the should. So empty nest, you look at the big house and you say, for many, many years, that big house really worked with having kids growing up and all their big friends and things like that. But when the kids are gone, they have their own homes. It may not make sense for you to have this big house anymore. A second life stage event is retirement and pre-retirement. So basically your lifestyle is different. You might be traveling quite a bit. You might, have different hobbies and so forth, so that the big house isn't necessarily what you want. So you need less space. And you don't need the space that the big house once provided. And the third one is aging. So a life stage, it's natural that as we age, you want to maybe be closer to your family, your friends, maybe for the purposes of watching out after you or caregiving for you. You might also want to be closer to hospital, medical care, that kind of thing. So that actually is one of the reasons that, life stage kind of plays into right-sizing. And then the third one, I call this the want to category. So want to is you want a new lifestyle change. You're ready for change. You've maybe lived in the city. You're now ready for the country, or in my case, I'm ready to live near water. So whatever it is, you just want a new lifestyle change. And what is that lifestyle change? What is the right size home for you right now? So in addition to knowing why you want to right size, I should say, know what you want, what you need at this particular time of your life. So take time with this particular what's right for you right now, and determining that, so that you don't have to move twice. So that's called double downsizing. That's very expensive and totally unnecessary if you take time up front to understand what you want and really need at this time of your life. Then weigh the options. So find that optimal space that works for you now and for the next 5 to 10 years. And so if you're not ready yet, and many people aren't, and you're not 100% sure, you might want to consider renting for a while versus buying, or you might consider renting completely, which is something I did because it offers me a lot of flexibility and mobility, and I always like to say less responsibility. So know that life changes, and so what was once a perfect home for you may no longer be a perfect home. Determine what kind of lifestyle you want. So in knowing what you want and don't want, what kind of lifestyle do you want? Do you want to live in the city, in the country, near the beach, a townhouse, condo, a house? Those are important things to start determining. And because this doesn't happen overnight, I would just say, write things down as you talk about them, as you think about them, as you meet people that are maybe living in a certain kind of community that appeals to you. So just start discerning what you want and don't want. And then determine the kind of house that you need. So what size will fit your current needs? What amenities will you need? So as you're aging, maybe one floor living versus a lot of stairs. So, and the third thing, a third step, I should say, is practical matters that should be considered when you are right-sizing. So what size fits your budget? A home that you can easily afford, not have to worry about being able to afford it. Consider costs that are associated with the actual move itself. So, that's a very practical matter, but obviously pretty important. So a size of home that fits your budget is right-sized. And then right-sizing what your needs are. So, for instance, proximity to family, to friends, to medical care, one-floor living. All of this they're practical matters that really have to be considered. And then the third is a size that fits your current lifestyle. So, for instance, walkability, community, safety. So if you want an active lifestyle, what kind of community is that? If you want community that kind of prevents the isolation and the loneliness, that would be something to consider. And then safety, certainly as we age, we do need to consider safety. So as a condo or a gated community, are those kind of things that you might want. And then the last question to ask yourself is actually what I call ask 1,000 questions. So in my design world, in order for me to get to know you and to know what you want and what you don't want, my boys used to say, my mother's going to ask you 1,000 questions. Okay, well, that's how I got to know people. So in this particular case, if you are considering right size, ask yourself 1,000 questions. Do I have enough space right now? Do I have too much space right now? How much of my space is actually being used? and this is kind of an interesting one, how much space is being used to store all of your stuff? So is your house, has it become a storage facility? And then you might want to start looking at the percentage of the home that's not actually being used and the percentage of your home that's actually being used, and then weigh those costs. So then you can say that, you know, out of my 12 or 15 rooms, I'm really only using 4 or 5 rooms. Just think of how costly that could be. And that might be a good reason for you to consider right-sizing. And then another question to ask yourself is, how much is it costing you to heat and cool these, not just in terms of dollars, but in terms of time, effort in maintaining it? And then the last question that I love asking is, what's missing in your current home that you wish you had? So what I've heard a lot during COVID is, I wish I had a dedicated home office. So no more kitchen table stuff for many, many people. Or I wish I had a retreat area, meaning, you know, everybody needs time alone. And so with the kids at home, with spouses at home working right next door to you, you know, sometimes you just want that private space. So what is it that your home doesn't have right now that you wish for, so that when you are right-sizing, you can make sure that it has, you know, maybe a his and hers office or a homework center. Homes now are definitely being built to accommodate many of the newfound needs during COVID. So I think for those of you that are listening, and I'm so glad you're here, you can see that this is a huge topic and one that I could explore with you for hours and hours. So if you want to hear more about right-sizing, not just downsizing, please comment below, because I'm very intrigued by this subject, and people are asking me about it all the time. So if you want to know more, just put it in the chat box below, or email me at ritawilkins@ritawilkins.com. I will be glad to explore the subject further with you. Thanks. I hope that this was helpful. Take care.